The traditional Santhal house is literally off the landscape, built of organic materials and renewed with the seasonal cycle of harvest. The habitat reflects, in myriad ways, the ethos of harmony with nature. Santhals, the single largest indigenous tribe in India, are concentrated in the states of West Bengal, Jharkhand, Bihar, and Orissa. They were forest dwellers in the past, but when the forests were reserved under colonial forest management policies in late 18th century, they had to migrate out of their homeland Santhal Parganas and practice agriculture wherever land was available. A number of Santhal hamlets exist in the slice of land in the interflow of rivers Kopai and Ajoy in the Birbhum district of West Bengal. Their settlements are built on the upper parts of this undulating land and cultivation occurs in low-lying areas. The Santhal communities fascinated Rabindranath Tagore and other artists living in Shantiniketan in early 20th century, inspiring their own artistic production. The early buildings of ashram, the open-air schools set up by Tagore, were made of clay with thatched roofs, similar to the mud houses of Santhal hamlets nearby. Tagore's own house, Shamali, was built with mud walls and clay roofs. Santhals assisted in its construction. Today, Shantiniketan, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is attracting large number of visitors, some of whom find their way to the adjoining Santhal hamlets. Urban tourists are drawn to the scenic quality of mud houses and thatched roofs, surrounded by ponds, bamboo thickets, and palm trees. Although Santhals are farmers, Santhali culture evolved in the forest. For the Santhals, the natural world is a spirited world, and this belief system is woven in the very fabric of their culture. Spirits residing on hills, tree groves, village boundaries, and houses are believed to have great power over human beings and have to be invoked and propitiated for sustenance and well-being of Santhal communities. Places are found through divination. For example, in founding a settlement by clearing the forest, the Sal Grove is located and preserved as a sacred Jerethan, where Bongas are worshipped for their protective powers over the village community. The Santhal hamlet is a linear settlement with houses built on either side of the street or kulhi. The single row of houses along the linear street is attributed to the belief that taking a dead body through another house will cause its spirits to interfere with the passage of the deceased into the spirit world. The village headman or Manji worships the spirit of his ancestor in a shrine, Manjithan, located on the street across his house.
The typical Santhal house is a mud structure consisting of a high interior room with a loft surrounded by a lower height built space on 2 or 3 sides. It is based upon an At-Chala concentric layout. At means 8 and Chala means sloping roofs over a central space surrounded by a veranda on 3 sides. The mud structure where the ancestral spirits are worshipped in the Bhitar is highly valued. The 1.5 story mud structures usually face the street with the upper level used as a loft. The single story mud house can be a precursor to the 1.5 story house. As the family's economic situation improves, it is replaced by the latter, or it may be retained if it is not fronting the street. Now coming to the house construction technique. First, the mud is obtained from farm fields or pukur. They are kneaded after adding the water in it, and they are made into round balls mixed with straw, which are thrown up to build the wall in layers. The structure consists of vertical posts using the khajur wood or bamboo, which support the rafters, which further supports the purlins. At some houses, the mud walls have projecting wooden corbels for supporting the rafters above it. For the structures which are taller than the 1 story, the horizontal wooden beams were inserted in the wall. Above those beams, the floor consisting of shore grass bundled together has a layer of mud on top as a floor finish. The hipped roofs at the 2 levels are covered with thatch, also known as bushu, or terracotta tiles on a bamboo or timber, which can be obtained from the locally grown sonajhuri or tal trees. The tapering mud walls are thicker at the base with extended plinths. The tactile quality of mud gives the house a sensuous feel of a living and a breathing body. The interior is cool in summers and warm in winters due to the insulation provided by the mud. These houses typically have small openings for windows made with wooden shutters. The walls are plastered with smooth mud, also known as khadi mitti. They are painted grey or black from the ash at the base and blue using the indigo at the bow. White from the lime and red using lal mati are painted as borders. The mud house takes about 3 to 4 months to be constructed by husband and wife but has to be replastered every year after it rains. Usually in these houses, the tiles break, thatch has to be replaced every year, so the durability of brick and GI sheets makes them an attractive option, although an expensive one. When GI sheets are used, roofs retain their profile since the bamboo or timber framework does not change. It is not uncommon to find multiple materials on a single roof or different materials on two roofs on the same structure. In the last 3 to 4 years, brick and concrete structures, partially supported by the municipality under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, are being built. The brick structure differs substantially from the mud structure as it has larger openings covered with metallic grills, its walls are uniform in thickness, and the plinth is not extended. The sloping roof is replaced by a flat concrete roof. Change is gradually assimilated by using composite building materials, which is a mix of organic and manufactured, and by retaining the traditional layout as seen in a few cases. Some houses have hybrid form, mud structure fronted by a veranda built of brick. In many houses, when the mud structure was replaced by a brick structure, the plan remains the same. The only change is in the materials and its construction technique. In two houses, however, the brick structures are built with multiple rooms, attached toilet and veranda. The Santhal house is an aggregation of structures located around an open space, also known as racha, that functions like a courtyard. These structures are adjacent to or at right angles to the main structure. The additive and incremental nature of the building process gives the owner-resident flexibility in meeting the requirements of a growing family, as well as adapting to fusions within it. Open mud structures with a low or no wall on the side face the courtyard. Wattle and daub structure constructed of mud or bamboo poles or lattice are also found. Lean-tos are typically bamboo poles supporting a thatched or tiled roof next to a wall, either freestanding marking the boundary or of a structure. Lean-tos primarily function as temporary cooking and eating spaces and storage spaces. The racha is a multi-purpose space and supports a variety of activities. It separates the front entry from the street and back toilet, washing area of the house. It is the center of family life, bringing together in the same space all the members of the house, including those of the extended family, who live in separate structures but share the open courtyard. The courtyard is the setting for many activities like cooking done on chulhas or mud ovens in the open or in the lean-tos. The courtyard has tulsi chaura, hand pump for water, platform for drying utensils and animal pens, trees, flower shrubs and vegetables growing in small gardens. The rear of the courtyard has toilet and wash areas. These lead up to the pukurs or open grounds. Objects of everyday use, from furniture to cooking utensils, musical instruments, fishing and hunting equipment, and other household items are made from the natural materials. Grain is stored in a conical structure formed by braided ropes and raised over bricks or wooden platform. It is known as bakar. Parkom, which is a rope cot used for sleeping. Gandu, which is a wooden seat. And modha, stool made up of bamboo, is used for sitting. Chatai, a bamboo mat, is used for sitting and sleeping. Jhuri, which is a wooden basket. Ghuni, a bamboo structure used for catching fish. Hatta, a winnowing basket. Jono, a broom. Handi, clay pots, are strewn about on the ground or on the low sloping roof. Broken clay pots are also hung from upper story roofs for pigeons to roost. In one house, we also observed some toys which are made up of clay. These toys were showing the Santhali women in their traditional attire.
The Santhal hamlet is surrounded by trees, paddy fields and water bodies. Women fetch water from pukurs, young people hang out in makeshift structures, and the main street presents an attractive view of the hamlet with murals on mud walls, colorful decorations around entries, and clay pots hanging from pitched roofs. The street is a lively community space. Children playing, teenagers socializing, women buying goods from vendors and hawkers, drying grains, and applying cow dung coat on thresholds. The extended plinth of houses is a space for sitting and socializing. During the Sore festival, the street becomes a performance space with women singing and dancing in a line with arms linked and men playing flute and percussion drums, the madol and the lagda. Manji Than, where Manji Bonga is worshipped in the form of 3 to 5 stones in a raised altar under a tree in a pavilion. An elaborate ceremony with offerings and chants is conducted by the village headman. Santhali hamlets tell the story of a culture that traditionally has been close to nature in its art, architecture, and cultural practices. The mud house represents Santhali identity and cultural heritage. It provides continuity with the past, a link with ancestors, and therefore can be a source of support in the midst of ongoing changes in many spheres of life. It meets today's criteria of sustainable design. Its ecological footprint is slight. The building materials are locally available and reusable. Building skills are possessed by the owner resident, and it requires little fossil energy in its construction process. The mud house exemplifies Mahatma Gandhi's precept: ideal house in the ideal village will be built of materials which are all found within a 5-mile radius of the house, as quoted by Laurie Baker, whose pioneering design practice in India was inspired by vernacular architecture and traditional methods of construction. The Santhal village is urbanizing and the mud house is transforming into a pakka structure. The Santhal aspirations for a pakka, meaning durable, house can be linked with a stronger and longer lasting mud house using rammed earth or compressed stabilized earth blocks. Thus, the sustainable cycle of building with organic materials can be restored.